This is the emergency broadcast system. This is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test. Stay tuned for further instructions.
All personnel, report to the nearest tornado shelter.
No cop! No KKK! No fascist USA!
We ain't here for this ain't nothing. This is not a valid protest, man.
What's up, guys? Welcome to God's Prepared Warrior Live. Thank you all for joining me today on this Monday, where we go live all the time. And thank you guys for joining in over here on TikTok. I see Southern Yankee that just came in. Thank you for jumping in, my friend. White Willow, my friend, welcome tonight. I'm glad you made it. You're not asleep. Thank you for joining me tonight. Chase, welcome in tonight. Thank you for joining me over here on TikTok. Welcome all of you guys on YouTube, and thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Glenn, for the 5x5. Thank you, Salt Mist, for that 5x5, and Scott Hummer, thank you for that 5x5. Cedric Davis, welcome in. He says, howdy, chap. Glenn, thank you for that 5x5. Who else is in here? Let's see. Let me see. Tammy, welcome in, Tammy. Thank you for joining me tonight. Over here on YouTube, Salt Mist is in the house. Scott Hummer's in the house. OVP, thank you, brother, for joining me tonight. Hopefully you got my email. If not, I need to talk to you about about Bug Out Weekend. So let's get together on that. I want to talk to you about that. All right, so welcome in, guys. Thank you for joining me. Granny's Southern Corner, welcome in, my friend. Thank you for joining us tonight. I want you guys to know that we have a super awesome topic for tonight. And, I didn't make it in time to give Salt Mist all the information so that she can share in the chat the questions that I have for the chat tonight. But I will voice them. I'll make sure that this is the question for that segment of the conversation tonight. And so that way you guys can talk about that in the chat tonight. I've invited everyone over here from TikTok to join the YouTube community so that they can be involved in that. Just until I can get somebody to come and moderate on this end, how to do all that. And it's really hard because my phone is tiny and the words are tiny and it's hard to see. I have to look through my bifocals to say hello to Deep Patriot, to Dustina Lynn, to Chase, and to Kyle. Welcome them all in. It's so hard, and then it goes really fast. So TikTok, you guys hang in there with me. Don't leave because we got a great topic tonight. All right, so let's go ahead and start. I'm excited. for seeing you guys. Aaron, welcome in, Aaron. I'm excited that we are back on a Monday again, right? It is so fun to get together with you guys on a Monday, and I am excited every Monday to be able to come on here on both platforms and just kind of say hello and talk about our topic for today. So thank you guys for joining me. So if you're new to my channel, what I always do on our live, the very first thing is I talk about our numbers, because what I believe is that all of you that join the community are the ones that are really the ones working hard at making this channel what it is. And so I always give homage to all of you for commenting on all of the videos, on liking all of videos and posts and stuff that I do, and sharing it. And you guys have subscribed and followed, and it's you guys that's doing that. I'm just kind of a talking head here. And so I want all of you to know that, I appreciate all of you and thank all of you for coming on. Welcome in, Brandon. It's good to see you. Casey, welcome in. JP, welcome in. Thank you for joining me tonight. So I'm going to go over the channel news. The first segment that we do is, I call it the channel news, and want to share everything that you guys are doing. So over on YouTube, we are at 1,190 subscribers. We have gone up this week, and we have gained 5 new community members over on YouTube. Over on TikTok, you guys are killing it. Y'all are my biggest channel. And TikTok, we are at 4,183. Hurrah to TikTok. And this week, we gained 4 new community members over in TikTok. So, guys, feel free to share the channel with your family and friends. That's always awesome and helpful. And Joe White, welcome in, my friend. Goliath49, welcome in. Kathleen, thank you for joining me tonight. And that's very helpful because it helps our community grow. It helps get this word out that we're, talking about prepping and getting people prepared for just whatever happens, right? And so thank you guys. Over on Facebook, we gained 1 new follower on Facebook. We're now at 281 followers on our God's Prepared Warrior Facebook page. And over on our group page in Facebook, we are still sitting at 45. If you guys want to join that, that's where you're going to find all kinds of other stuff that I normally don't post on all of my social, except for here. You don't get charged for it. It's a free group page. I'm treating it as my subscription, right, page. So you get it for free. So go over to the Facebook community under the group tab and look for God's Prepared Warrior Community. Answer the 3 questions there, and I will add you into the group. So go check that out. And over on X, we are sitting at 1,034. We gained 2 new followers there on X. Over on Instagram, we are at 1,244 subscribers. We gained 3 new community members there, giving us a total on our platforms this week of 15 new community members, and that's awesome. That's super awesome. So thank you guys for you being part of the community, liking and subscribing to the channel, and just commenting. I love it when you guys comment on the videos. It's very important to me to see that interaction because I see our community growing, and I read it in the comments how much you guys love being here on a Monday night. So make sure that if you haven't subscribed to all of my social media, make sure you come over to YouTube. That's where you're going to find all of the links, especially in the description of this live feed. If you want my link to X, to Instagram, to Facebook, to the group page on Facebook, to my website, it's all there in the description. Make sure you check out the links, and then in all of my other videos, those links are there all the time. So you have access to me. Even my email address is in those links too as well. And say hi every once in a while. I'll respond back to you. All right. Okay. So let's look at the news. The next segment I do, if you're new, is look into the news, because my motto is stay vigilant, stay prepared, right? I believe that if you are watchful, you're gonna kind of have an ear to the ground to know what's happening, what might be happening in the future, and it's always better to stay vigilant, right? Not to walk around with your eyes closed or your head buried into your phone like most people do. Don't do that. It's pretty crazy. All right. Thank you guys for joining me, Scott Thunder. So is Scott Thunder here, Scott Hummer over here. Hey, that's pretty neat. Chase, welcome. Alexandra, welcome. Pops, welcome in. Brian, welcome in. All right. So this is coming from Los Angeles Channel 4 News, and it is titled 8 Unalived in B-52 Stratofortress Crash at Edwards Air Force Base. So this happened today. 8 people were unalive after the B-52 Stratofortress crashed and burst into flames shortly after taking off on a test mission today from Edwards Air Force Base in California, California's Mojave Desert, according to military officials. The crash was reported at about 11:20 a.m. At the remote base about 100 miles north of Los Angeles. In the news release today, this afternoon, the base said 8 people that were on the aircraft during this routine test mission. It says initial indications are that the crash was not survivable, that they said emergency response personnel were on the scene, and officials have been working to account for all the personnel. Colonel James Hayes, the deputy commander for the 412 test wing at the Air Force Base, said at a press conference that we lost 8 great Americans in the crash. So this happened today. It's not good news, but it's important for us to stay vigilant to that, so that we can be in prayer for the family. That is important. I think it's good for God's prepared warriors to be in prayer for these families that have lost loved ones in this tragic thing that has happened today. So I'm not sure if you guys were aware of that, but that is coming out of News 4 Los Angeles, and wanted to share that with you guys today. The next one is coming from ABC News, and a child was unalived after officer fires upon a car following a reported shoplifting incident at Walmart in Mississippi. It says here that a child was killed after the officer fired upon the vehicle following a reported shoplifting at Walmart in Mississippi, authorities said. An adult was also critically injured in the shooting, which occurred Sunday afternoon outside the Walmart, according to the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation. Law enforcement officers who responded to the shoplifting call at the Walmart encountered the 2 adults allegedly fleeing from the store with a child and going into the vehicle, the Bureau said. Officers attempted to stop the vehicle, but the driver drove in the direction of the officers, almost striking one of them. The Bureau said in a statement that the information is preliminary, and officer then just discharged his weapon, and the vehicle fled the scene. So the individuals in the vehicle went to a local hospital where the child was pronounced dead, according to the Bureau. One of the adults had critical injuries, they said. So this was a tragic ordeal that happened in Mississippi, and this poor child has lost his life. These 2 individuals that were carrying him to rob the store. That's man, that's a tough situation, and this child's lost his life for those that were supposed to be in care of his life. So let's keep that family in prayer. the individuals that hopefully they were both apprehended. It doesn't really say; it just talks about one being hospitalized. So let's keep that situation in prayer, which brings into mind, you're at a Walmart, stay vigilant. If you're vigilant, you'll be prepared, and you'll be able to, move out of the way when this kind of thing happens. So that was a tragic thing that I saw today. This coming from ABC News. Let's keep that family in prayer. This next one is coming from USA Today. It says a woman was thrown to her death during a bungee jump trip in Brazil. I saw this today, or was it over the weekend? It might have been over the weekend. This lady went to Brazil, and she wanted to try that. They connect you to a bungee cord, and you jump off a thing, and you just kind of bounce up and down for a little while, and eventually they get you down. Well, according to this, the woman on the bungee jumping excursion in southeastern Brazil was thrown to her death it was over the weekend, when the company employees allegedly failed to secure her safety equipment, according to the local authorities. I saw the video. The video has been circling on X, and I mean, they point out the bungee is literally wrapped up on the ground. They pick the lady up, and over she goes. You don't get to actually see her hit the ground, but I mean, you see them throwing her. So this was a very tragic story. I was blown away by this, and it's saying that the company employees failed to secure her security equipment. It's like they totally forgot that they needed to add the bungee cord to her, and they just threw her over. And so, very tragic story. If you haven't seen that, this is coming from USA Today. You can read about it. If you have a good enough stomach, you can see it on X. I'm pretty sure that video is still kind of floating around over there. This next one is coming from Houston weather, and it says here dangerous flooding unfolds across Texas as heavy rain drenches the state. So where I live in South Central Texas, we are a product of all of that rain. If you follow my channel at any length, you will know that today's video came just a little later than normal due to the weather we were having in the morning. It was pretty crazy this morning. And, we had, I think was recorded today, the last figure I heard was 5 inches of rain fell in our city. And so I think Houston is about to get a whole bunch more tomorrow, but we're also in that line for receiving more rain tomorrow. And then Wednesday, the rain is supposed to be in the coastal area of Texas along the Gulf. But there's that tropical storm that's coming up from Central America, and it's supposed to sit in the Gulf over the weekend. And so we are scheduled for more rain because of that tropical storm that kind of failed and might gain some momentum as it sits in the Gulf. So we have had a lot of rain, and if you don't know, in Texas, because Texas is always so hot, the ground is really hard like rock. And so if you want to dig, you literally have to have the right tools to be able to dig, because eventually you're going to need heavier equipment to break through the ground that is just so dry, right? And so when it rains in Texas, water accumulates because the ground doesn't soak it up fast enough. And we are always prone for flooding because of that fact. So this morning was that thing. There was flooded streets everywhere. We were under a flash flood warning. I don't, was it a warning or was the next one above? But anyway, we were told that it was dangerous and not to go out. If you didn't have to go out, don't go out. Stay home. And so, I'm like, this is pretty bad. And so I got a text from work saying, don't come in where I live. There's a few of us that travel to where we work, and we were told don't come in till 10:30. And so we were able to come in a little later yesterday or today, and so that helped because there's so much traffic. What should be a 15 to 20 minute drive for me every day turns into an hour drive, maybe an hour 10 minutes drive to get to work. And so because of the heavy traffic plus rain, it would have probably taken, plus flooding, plus puddles of water on the highway, it would have made me even later. So so they allotted us that time today. I was really grateful for that. But if you look at Texas weather, if you Google and Facebook Texas weather, you will see all of the flooding we had. It wasn't just constrained to one area. It was a line that went straight across Texas. And so, in the counties surrounding me, Kendall County, Gillespie County, Frio County, there was a Bandera County. All of these counties around us were experiencing creeks that crested, maybe ditches that or underpasses were full of water, and there was a lot of people who did not obey the signs and went through the low-lying areas. Their cars began to be swept away. Sunday, when the storm was coming towards us on Sunday, it wreaked havoc in Waco, and so it flooded Waco big time. So there was a lot of flooding today in a lot of counties, and rivers are high, creeks are high. Low-lying areas were flooded out today, and there's a potential for that again tomorrow. So we're looking, at seeing this again, but hopefully Wednesday, all of that will be concentrated towards the coastal plain. So, but the tropical storm is supposed to bring more. So keep us in your prayers in Texas, because we don't do well with rain or ice or snow for that matter. We just do hot. So and trust me, I'm thankful because it hasn't been as hot. We've seen a couple of 90-degree days. You have to remember that Texas heat is a humid heat, so it's not like you're those states that have dry heat. It's a totally different thing over here, and it's worse, I think. You take a shower, you come out, and you still feel ugly. So yeah, it's pretty bad. Scott Hummer says, "Turn around, don't drown." Yes, that is our motto. You saw my video this morning. I talked about that in my video. That's our motto: turn around, don't drown. A lot of the low-lying areas, especially here where I live, there are measurement markers that measure depth if they're low-lying, and so you're able to see how many feet the water is in those areas, and they still put blockades, but people still try to cross that way or go through that thinking they're going to make it. And if the water is flowing, it's going to take your vehicle. We had a lot of that happen last year here in the city where I live. Many people lost their life because they tried it and they didn't make it. And as normal, this morning I'm watching the news. There are many stalled out vehicles that are in the high water. So it's important, guys, for all of us to be weather aware. Utilize the weather apps on your phone. I follow those things daily. I don't like getting caught in the rain and not being ready for that. And so I'm always vigilant to that thing, and it helps me stay prepared. It's what I've been saying, right? Stay vigilant, stay prepared. So make sure that you guys are utilizing that kind of apps on your phone just to kind of keep you and your family safe. And I don't just have a weather app, I also have a weather radar app that gives me up to date radar, where the storm is, where I can go and where I don't need to go if the storms are bad. And then they give you alerts when it comes to all the warnings. So make sure that you are following that, because it's important. I want all of you guys to be safe, and just knowing that is important, right? All right, so let's get into our topic for tonight. The title of my topic is "What Happens When Convenience Disappears?" Right? What happens when convenience disappears? I want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about war. I don't want to talk about disasters, because we're usually in the middle of those, especially now with all the rain, right? I don't want to talk about economic collapse. A lot of channels are doing that right now. What I want to talk about is convenience. And, I want us to think about what is that convenience that we live with all the time, right? Think about how much of our lives revolve around convenience, right? I want you guys to kind of think about what are some conveniences that you have, right? This is the first question. What are some of the conveniences that you have and that you love and that you hope you never lose, right? Think about those conveniences. What are they? And could you survive without those conveniences in your life? Think about that. Let's talk about that in the chat. Saltmist says electricity, right? Saltmist says electricity. That's a good one. Yeah, we love our light, right? Electricity powers everything. It powers the way we eat. It powers our, how we keep our food. It gives us light. If you live in Texas, it runs your AC, right? Oh man. Dana says, I believe the older you are, the more experience working harder without appliances. Yes, I think you're right on that, Dana. Aaron says, in the South, we enjoy the air conditioner. Yeah. So do we in Texas. Trust me. You know what? It's funny. Glenn says a computer that works. I love it, Glenn. My brother, welcome back. I'm glad you're back. We've been praying for you. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Texas, what was it? I can't even think how long ago it was. Probably maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago. Our AC went out when we bought our home. The AC that came with our home was the age of our home. And so, I think 2-3 years later after that, it kind of went out, and it was during the summer. And let me tell you, those months that we were without that AC, we were dying. Yeah. I am with Aaron on that one. Saltman says, I couldn't do it. I just don't want to. Dana says, plumbing for water and waste. Yes. Glenn says, trying to pay bills these days without one. Yeah. Amen. Oh, you're talking about your computer. Yes, that is true, Glenn. Yeah. Bill pay, man. I'm telling you. Bill pay. Yeah. So those are some things, right? Here's some more, right? There's some other modern convenience we have, right? Internet. If we didn't have internet, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here chatting together, right? If it wasn't, for the cell phone, we wouldn't be here because you wouldn't be watching, right? Some of you guys are watching from your phone. We wouldn't have GPS. We wouldn't have, as Glenn says, online banking. We definitely would have to go get our own fast food, right? If it was still being made, right? And then, we guess what? Amazon would not deliver. Just saying, right? Dana says cell phones, yeah. So yeah, those are some conveniences that we kind of really hold on to, right? So let's start with Amazon, right? Many people have become accustomed to ordering something and having it arrive the next day, or maybe, in 3 days, right? Depending on how fast you want that item. Scott Hummer says no DoorDash. That's right. No DoorDash. That is correct, my friend. You won't have that stuff, right? And it's amazing that we can order something and it's at our doorstep in days, even sometimes same day, right? That's amazing that we have that convenience. But what if it doesn't arrive, right? What if supply chains kind of slow down, right? We kind of had that scare with this, war with Iran, the closing of the strait, and now they're saying it's open. Now they're saying that there's this peace deal that's going to go through. Lord willing, it still has to go through. They still got to sign it. Somehow we're going to be paying, was it something like $3 trillion to Iran? I mean, that's insane. Doesn't even sound like we did anything. It still sounds the same, right? We're still going to be dropping money over there, a pallet of money. That hasn't changed. It's still the same. So, the supply chain could slow down. Trucks can stop moving, right? Warehouses can't ship, right? Stores can't restock. So it's important for us to understand that convenience can create dependency, right? And so this is why we keep extra food, right? This is why we prep. This is why we keep extra medicine. This is why, we use the 10% discount for Jase Medical in my description. You'll find that link there. There's, we stock that stuff, right? That's why we hold on to extra household supplies. Not because we're afraid, but because we know that delays happen. We know that these wars that happen over here kind of, create ripple effects that will touch us eventually, right? And it's important to understand that this is why we prep, not out of fear, just because we are vigilant to what is happening. And we know that those ripple effects from that thing can eventually touch us in a way where it makes life maybe a little uncomfortable, or it can make life extra not comfortable at all, right? Scott says, how long will that last? The IRGC is still in charge of the military. Yeah, that is true. That's why I said we still got a while to wait, right? Salt Miss, no, Shelly says, Salt Miss, I'm in Idaho. We get strong winds, rarely, F0. Oh, wow. In Indiana. Okay, so that's important, right? We don't prep out of fear. We prep because we see these ripple effects that are happening. So here's your question, and let's talk about it in the chat. What is one item your family uses every week that would be difficult to find if stores couldn't restock for 30 days? Think about this question. What one item your family uses every week that could be difficult to find if stores couldn't restock for 30 days. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to add it down here, see if it'll work. Because, you know, sometimes this, there it is. There's the question. Aaron says milk, fresh milk. Yeah. Aaron, is that milk for your coffee? We had, yeah, fresh milk. That's important. I know. Glenn says fresh vegetables. Yes, that's right. Scott says food in general, right? Salt Mist says milk. Dana says fresh milk, etc. Yeah. Yeah. See, these are an important thing that we use every day. Scott says cleaning products. Aaron says, yes, milk is vital for the coffee. LOL. See, that's why you guys got to prep. You guys got to prepare and drink it black like I do. It helps grow this beard. I'm just you know, just so you know. Oh man. Saltman says I have a couple of backups for my coffee. Yeah, me too. That's good. Thank you guys for sharing that. Yeah, that's important. Those things are important. And a lot of people, guess what, won't think about that. It's like that. Aaron says no black coffee. Got powdered milk as backup. LOL. That's good. Thank you, Dana. Yeah, I like my beard too. Saltness says, "Ew, just no on the black coffee." Glenn says, "Hot black coffee, nothing better." Amen to that, Glenn. I'm with you on that. That's hilarious. All right, you guys are funny. Instant information, right? We live in. I think this is the next thing. Instant information. We live in the information age, right? You know, most of us can answer almost any question in seconds, right? Because, you know, we have access to information, right? You need a recipe. Guess what? Fernando's going to Pinterest. I have a Pinterest page. You guys should follow it. Yeah, I'll find a link and I'll send it. I'll put it in the chat later. You know, we live in the information age, right? You need a recipe, you can Google it. You need a map, you Google it, right? You need instructions, you go to YouTube University. That's what I call it. You know, but what if the internet goes down, cell towers fail, and the power is out? Do you still know how to function without the idea of having to Google it, right? Can you still function? This is why books still kind of matter, right? Paper maps still matter. Written instructions still matter. Knowledge matters, right? So let me put this question in the chat for you. Here's the question. What important skill do you know today and that doesn't require the internet, right? We're talking about everything goes out, right? Because we live in this information age. Can you still function without the internet? Can you still know how to do things without having to Google it, right? Can you do that? Shelly says, buy large bottle of Bonner's soap and mix. It lasts very long time and cleanses everything. Okay, cool. Scott says, I use Southern Butter Pecan Creamer in my coffee. It's like drinking candy. I love it, Scott. That's awesome. OVP, thank you for coming back, my friend. I don't know if you caught it earlier, but we need to get together. I want to talk to you about Bug Out Weekend, Texas edition. Let's get together soon. But welcome back. Let's see. Okay, so the question is, what important skill do you know today that doesn't require the internet? Aaron says, I'm going old school in the classroom. I know how to use a paper and pen. That is an excellent thing, Aaron. Thank you for sharing that. Right? I'm gonna go a little further with that one. I know how to write cursive, and my grandkids can't read cursive. They think it is a foreign language, or they think it is an alien dialect when I write cursive. Yeah. You know how to use pen and paper. That's great. I like that one. Glenn says, canning. How did I know you were going to say that? And making black coffee. I like it, Glenn. We're the black coffee team here. Dana says, cooking. Nothing fancy, but it is good for me. Amen to that, sister. Aaron says, canning, gardening, teaching, writing. That's great. We need that. Scott says, reading books. I have a large survival library. That's great. You know, I did a video about that not too long ago, and you were sharing some of that stuff on there. That's great. Something that says I'm with Aaron. Glenn says candy coffee to Scott. Saturdays are good for me. Okay, OVP, I will reach out. I'll get to reach out to you from my coffee trailer, where I'll be drinking a black cup of coffee. Oh God, that's going to be the theme for tonight, I guess, guys. Right? Black coffee. No cream in your coffee. Salt Miss says, I'm with Aaron, canning, gardening, cooking, and I have books. That's true. Aaron says, I have high school students who can't read cursive and or analog clock. Exactly. Tell me about it. Glenn says, can't read cursive. That's our education for you. Oh, okay. Aaron says, I will be just fine if the internet goes away. You know, I probably would be too, because here lately I've been like really tired and like bombarded with so much, you know, internet stuff and the channel and all the, you know, you guys just don't even know. Yeah. Let's see. MS Costa, hey, says, hey, Fernando, I'm sorry I'm late. You're good, brother. Welcome in. True story here. All right. OVP says I'll probably be drinking coffee as well. Oh my God. Cajun Prepper, welcome in, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. Coffee. You guys are hilarious. Yes, you can join the cool kids. All right. Man, you guys are quick in here. Yeah, sometimes you do, Scott. You're right. Sometimes you do got to take a break from social media. You are right on that. All right. Good. Let's talk about the next thing. Let's talk about GPS navigation, right? Raise your hand or put a hand emoji in there if you have become dependent on GPS. I know one person will raise their hand because what they do on a side job. Let's see. Raise your hand if you become dependent on GPS. You know, I have, even though I still have a couple of paper maps, I have become dependent on GPS. I'm pretty sure many of us probably, if we needed to go across town, if you lived in the city where I live, if you wanted to go across town, you couldn't get across town without GPS because of the immensity of the place where I live. So this is me, right? Yeah, so that's something that we depend on, right? But GPS can fail. Phones can die, right? And we should know at least, right? Major roads, we should know major highways, we should know, alternate routes, we should know landmarks, and even how to read a map, right? I talk about how kids today can't read cursive, and it's a true thing. And just even you guys are sharing about how that's true, right? And it's important for us to take a step back and say, you know what? I'm going to get a paper map for my area. And I'm going to, on the paper map, I'm going to mark out where I am. I'm going to mark out where all my family is. I'm going to, make sure that on this same paper map, we have, our, get out of Dodge plan, or, we have our rally point. We have our next, our next point, the third point, where we're going, right? It's important to do that because these systems can fail, right? So I'm going to throw the question in the chat, and I think this is a two-part question here. Here's the first one. Could you drive from your home to work without GPS? I will answer that first and say, yes, I can. I've been doing this since 2020. So, I probably even could do it blindfolded. Not me driving, of course, blindfolded, but yeah. And then the second part to that question is, could you do that in another city? So I'm going to answer that one, and I'm going to say no, right? If you want me to go to Houston, if you want me to go to Dallas, guess what? I am going to be lost, especially if I go to Dallas, especially if I go to Houston, because they are huger cities than the city that I live in, and they have many roads, right? So what's a conundrum to me is this. I've been to Dallas several times, right? I've been to Houston several times. But outside of my city, these two cities have exits not only on the right, but on the left. And if you're not paying attention, and if you're not used to exits on the left-hand side of the highway, you're going to get lost. I'm just saying. So, I thought that was the craziest thing when I went to Dallas one day, and the exit was on the left side and not on the right, like it is where I live. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Man, you guys attacked that one. How far do I got to go? MC Costa, we will definitely be praying for your sister, my friend. Most definitely. Okay. See, here he is. Scott Hummer says GPS for work, but I can use a map and a compass. That's true. I'm glad that Mike Tango Whiskey is not on the live tonight, because he would have said, "Oh, phooey" to your compass. Oh, man. He's a funny guy. Glenn says, thumbs down to GPS. Manuel, I think that's who that is. Welcome in, my friend. He says, I need GPS to go to Walmart. Okay. You must not go often. MS Costa says, we pray for my sister. Yes, my friend, we will definitely pray for her. Saltman says, no, only if somewhere I haven't been that she would use GPS. Shelly says, I never do. Dana says, me, when it was working, not always the best route. Yeah, that's true. So Glenn says, FYI, Interstate Highway, east and west have even numbers. North and south have odd numbers on them. Great information, Glenn. Thank you for sharing that. And on each highway, there's a mile marker in between. So make sure you pay attention to those mile markers, because if you ever get stranded, they're going to ask you, what mile marker are you on? Yeah. MS Costa, first time going somewhere, yes. Then spend the time to logic map the landmarks, etc. in my head and drive and in my head and have paper road and topo maps. That's great, brother. That is great. Dana says, my friend told me her grandson was asked for his signature and he said that he did not have one. It was explained to him that he needed to, what he needed to do. That is funny. You see, I know, man. That's why we're behind in the world. OVP says, I don't remember the last time I used GPS. You're lucky, my friend. You're lucky. Aaron says, I can drive without GPS to work. Good. However, I would need a compass if I drove through the military land on each side of the highway. Yeah. Scott says, depends. I-35 straight to Waco, Austin, and San Antonio. That's true. That's a straight route, right? Shelly says, my city is not that big. So yes, not in the city. I don't know. I like paper maps. Yeah, there's still a go-to for me. Tammy says, I've been to Dallas and I wasn't driving. Thanks be to God. Yeah, you don't want to drive over there. It's insane. I'm telling you. I've been there a handful of times, and if I go back, I don't know where to go. Still don't know where to go. Yeah, it's too big because Dallas and Fort Worth actually kind of smashed together. So yeah. Dana says, when I worked, I used the map to find different routes outside my area. I carried a map, but wrote the directions. Yeah, that's good. I don't think kids would be able to do that today. My town has 4 roads. This is MS Costa. My town has 4 roads. No problem. I work 20 feet away from my kitchen. Towns and cities and states learn from traveling sales job. That's awesome, man. Glenn has never used GPS. Good for you, my friend. You won't have to rely on it. Saltman says, I have a sister who is like a honing pigeon. I, on the other hand, not so much. Well, she's a good one to keep, right? That's a good skill to have. OVP says I couldn't get from here to Vegas without GPS. Yeah. Yeah, the further you go out of your area, the more you're going to need GPS or even a road map, right? Psalmist says, I live in small town America, but don't want to be lost on some backwoods road. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be there either. Tammy says, I live a mile off of I-35, Fernando, in Minnesota. Well, I wonder if my 35 connects to your 35. That means I would have a straight shot. Me, Glenn, and Scott could just go up 35 and we can do a meetup with Tammy and her family. I have family in Texas through south of San Antonio. That's awesome. Well, when you come visit your family, make sure it's on a Saturday and it's in between the hours of 8 and 4, and you can come have coffee with me. Scott says Fort Worth is in the same side of the Metroplex. I avoid Dallas as much as I can. Yeah, it is. I'm telling you, you get lost out there real easy if you don't know where you're going. Dana says GPS can be very annoying when it wants to go extra miles out of your way. Yes, you're right. Tammy says, my dad had a good sense of direction. Sadly, none of it rubbed off on me. And Miss Costa says, Amazon has a good deal on the McNally Road Atlas. Hey, that's a good plug. That's cool, Tammy. Yeah, you're going to have to come to the coffee shop one day. Glenn says Dallas is the armpit of Texas. That's a good one, Glenn. That's a good one. All right, we're almost done. All right, so let's talk about the next one. Here's another convenience. Fast food and convenience meals, right? So let's be honest. Fast food is convenient. It's convenient. It's also now even more expensive, right? It's convenient. You can drive up to it. You can order. You can eat it there. You can take it home. They'll even, deliver it via drone now, which is kind of crazy. There are some restaurants, more Oriental restaurants that have robots that deliver your food to the table. So there's all kinds of crazy things out there, right? But what happens when restaurants close? What happens when the power goes out or when money gets tight? Can you cook without the stove? Can your children cook without the stove? I have a fireplace right here off to my right. And I remember back in the day, we can go back probably beyond my grandparents. The fireplace was where you cooked all of your meals. And so I don't know why in Texas we have fireplaces, because you'll probably use them twice a year, but that's an alternative place for you to cook if all of that goes out, right? As prepared warriors, we learn practical life skills, right? So here's the question for this last one. What's one meal that you can cook completely from scratch? And I want some good ones. Tell me what you can, what's one meal that you can cook completely from scratch? From scratch. I knew that was going to come up, Scott. I knew it. Scott says an MRE. Oh, that's a good one. Glenn says, get yourself a sun oven. Yes, I've seen those. I've seen those sun ovens. Yeah, that's good. What's one meal you can cook from scratch? Dana says, Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner. Oh man, we're coming over to your house. Definitely. Psalmist says, oh really? How hungry are you? Tammy says, pretty much anything. I love to cook. I'm the same way. Shelly says, eggs. That is a good one, Shelly. Hey, I love eggs. You know, OVP says steak, baked potato, and grilled cabbage. That is a wonderful meal, my friend. That is so good. Glenn says anything. You know what? From a man who can anything, I'm pretty sure he can cook anything. Good for you, Glenn. MS Costa says just did red beans and rice with dry beans. Good old peanut butter and jelly. There you go. That hey, that's a good, complete meal, right? Salt Miss says seriously anything. Dana says an average meal would be rice, beans, meat, and a side. I do confess the beans are from a can and not soaked overnight. That's true. That is very true. Dana says, "Are the dogs welcome?" Oh no, you're asking Dana. Are the dogs welcome? That's funny. Solomon says, "I can't find my way out of a paper bag, but I can cook." All right. See, Shelly just had steak and potatoes on the grill. OP says, "Now you're talking." Tammy says, "I just made pinto and navy beans with ham that we grilled with cornbread." Oh man, that sounds so good. I love cornbread, especially when it's made freshly made. There you go. That's how you expand it, right, Dana? Beans can be eaten cold. You are exactly right. So can corn. I'm just saying. When I was a kid growing up and I'd go fishing, I'd always have me a can of corn, and the can of corn was for my bait. But at the same time, the can of corn was also for me to nibble on as I was fishing. Just saying. All right, guys. We have met the 10 o'clock hour. I just wanted to come on here tonight and kind of, help us to think about what are some of the things that, we rely on a lot. Look at those things and kind of think about, can we do an alternative way for us to, live if the lights go out, right? And this is something that I do myself all the time. I think about ways if this happens, just like the rain today. I thought about what does that look like for all of us, right? Maybe those who aren't experiencing all the rain that we've been receiving. I thought, well, let me put out this video today about the rain, right? And so, it's important for us to take these questions into consideration and ask ourselves that, will we be able to, what will we do in that situation, right? So, think about those things, guys. It's important. All right, what are y'all saying here? Where are my glasses? What if I come to Texas in November and decide to stay? You know what? You and I will be friends forever, my brother OVP. If you decide to stay, we would welcome you in, my friend. Awesome chat, Fernando and friends. Thank you. You're welcome, my brother Scott. Be safe out there. All right. Thanks, Fernando. Salt Miss. Thanks, Fernando, and the chat. Have an amazing week. You guys too. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. I am glad you came. I look forward to Mondays with you all the time, and can't wait till next Monday. And have a great day, guys. Be safe out there. Stay informed to the things happening in your area. I think that's just so important. And just stay vigilant, stay prepared, and look forward to seeing you guys on tomorrow's video. Pray for me because we're going to be going through this rainy weather again tomorrow. So hope to see you on tomorrow's video. God bless. Stay safe, everybody, and be safe out there. Bye.